Hey, it's Robert here. Welcome to Startup University. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm going to be sharing everything that I've learned about e-commerce acquisition retention in my career. We're going on almost 10 years working in e-commerce, food and drink tech, high growth startups. I'm someone who's been within 6, 7, and 8 figure startups. So I thought I'd begin this entire course with a bit about me so you know exactly who you're dealing with. Um, I'm currently a head of e-commerce. That's my core role. I own a P&L. I run growth for a brand called DIRTEA. It's an incredible brand run by incredible founders. We're venture capital backed, got amazing investors. And most importantly, this role is one that I'm completely owning because I have close to a decade worth of experience running core teams within high growth startups, specifically in venture backed, angel backed, e-commerce, tech, startup led brands. Um, so this is me. This is my very public LinkedIn profile. There is nothing here that is not true. So this is who I am. This is my network, and this is hopefully why you'll trust all the content that I'm delivering to you. So I'm currently head of e-commerce at DIRTEA. My modus operandi is helping brands scale from 7 to 8 figures. And if you're jumping into building a LinkedIn profile or an Instagram profile, it's really important to signal to people why people should listen to you. What is your background? What's your expertise? And for me, it's scaling e-commerce. So as a very quick overview, I have a newsletter business called Scale OS. It's separate to my fitness world. I'm also a fitness creator with 100,000 followers on Instagram, 45,000-ish on TikTok. So I built this audience over, 2 to 3 years. And I'm going to teach you everything within the e-commerce framework because organic growth is very important. So I have Scale OS, Startup OS, which is my newsletter, which you can sign up to for absolutely free. You'll get weekly insights on everything related to growth. You'll see I'm posting 3 times a week at the moment on all the things that I've learned in e-commerce. And my background is as such, I'm head of e-commerce at DIRTEA. I've now been here for 15 months. Before that, I've worked for some amazing brands, some amazing founders. I won't name them all here, but if you go through my background, my very first role out of university was at Budweiser. So I was a global management trainee at Anheuser-Busch InBev. This is where I learnt a lot of the foundational knowledge that I had. Anheuser-Busch own the biggest beer brands in the world. So Budweiser, Bud Light, Stella Artois, Corona. Depending on where you are in the world, you're going to understand some of these brands and know who they are. Budweiser is the biggest beer in the world. I learned everything from how e-commerce works through how does digital marketing work, how does retail work, through to logistics, supply chain, where if you're doing e-commerce, it's really good to have that fundamental knowledge. I've worked in agencies as well. So working alongside food and drink brands in the UK to help them launch, gave me a much broader breadth of information and knowledge on the food and drink industry. I then ran e-commerce at Seedlip. Seedlip is the world's first and leading non-alcoholic spirits brand. If you've decided not to drink or you don't drink alcohol, and you're in the UK or the US, Seedlip is probably the non-alcoholic spirit which is behind the bar. It was bought in 2019 by Diageo for an undisclosed sum of money, but it was the leader. And so this was a huge opportunity for me to learn everything about high growth venture-backed startups, one that was invested in by Diageo and then eventually bought by Diageo. And as this LinkedIn profile suggests, I looked after Great Britain and Europe, and latterly LAC and Africa, which was an amazing opportunity. I worked with an amazing team, and it taught me an awful lot about how the best brands in the world operate. I then ran e-commerce at Lucky Saint. Lucky Saint is the leading non-alcoholic beer brand in the United Kingdom. It's independent and went through phenomenal growth when I was there, has continued to grow very strongly, and is very well known now in the UK as being the alcohol-free beer that people will choose if they're deciding not to drink alcohol. We tripled the business when I was there. We went through a venture capital round, which is very public. it had investors such as Jamjar. Jamjar is one of the leading venture capital firms in the UK for e-commerce and food FMCG brands. FMCG meaning fast-moving consumer goods. So I owned everything from all acquisition, all retention, revenue and profit growth for the channels that I looked after, and that also included Amazon. This program is not going to go into Amazon, but if it is something that you're interested in, I will happily have a conversation with you on how it can be useful for you as a brand, the things you need to look out for, and if you're trying to become a brand on Amazon or you're just trying to sell product, they're two very different things. Then I was marketing director at CheeseGeek. CheeseGeek is the first investment of Stephen Bartlett, the Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO. He did a funding round for CheeseGeek, which is very public. It was on Dragon's Den, and I was hired as part of that funding round and that hiring round to become the marketing director. That was an amazing time. It was a very challenging time, but it taught me everything about how do you lead marketing and digital acquisition for a cold goods food and drink brand. Working with a product which requires to be chilled is a massive challenge, and I will comment on that during the program. Whether you sell perishable goods, which cheeses, or you sell packaged goods, there are different challenges, including in the supply chain. So my background directly relates to brands not only that are don't need to be chilled, but ones that are also perishable. So my background is multifaceted when it comes to e-commerce. There we also had to grow a subscription brand, and we had an app. So managing a dev team is something that I've been remotely and directly responsible for. I was then marketing director at a tech company after that, specializing in art. Again, we're not going to go into tech too much during this e-commerce course. That being said, there's a lot of things to do with funnels, MQLs, and acquiring proper leads that I learned a lot there about. And fundamentally, my background is in e-commerce, but I've learned that funnels work anywhere. So whether you're selling art, whether you're selling cheese, non-alcoholic spirits or beer, it's all pretty relevant. And then latterly, the most recent projects I've been involved with, Ben Branson, who created and sold Seedlip to Diageo. He's launched other brands, of which I've been very lucky enough to be asked by him to help him launch. One of them being seasoned cocktail bitters. For those who are in the UK, who go to bars, you will likely have had a cocktail with that product in. It's a very different product than Seedlip. Predominantly the growth of that is wholesale, but we use e-commerce there, acquisition and retention, very differently to build brand, to acquire customers who really want to make cocktail bitters at home and cocktails with cocktail bitters in. And most importantly, it's a brand that is disrupting the archaic cocktail bitters market. There are very famous brands that are quite niche, one being Angostura Bitters, and being a part of the team to launch, again, that brand online was an amazing experience. So my background is multifaceted, from completely £0 brands to 6 figures, 7 figures and 8 figures, brands that sell on Amazon, D2C, not just only in the UK, but Europe, USA. And I have owned everything from acquisition to retention, to marketing calendars, to campaigns, to retail out of home, everything that's required to grow a food and drink brand, especially one that operates within e-commerce. So I really hope you get a lot of value out of this course. It's really important to understand my background and where I come from. I'm someone who is paid to run growth and e-commerce for very, very serious brands. So I won't be talking about anything that is not relevant for some of the best brands and best startups in the e-commerce world. So I hope you get a ton of value from this course. You can obviously message me at any point in time for additional advice. And I really do hope this helps you to grow your very first e-commerce brand, or help scale your brand from wherever it is today to where you dream it will be. It's a complete honor to be the person helping coach you through this course. and I can't wait to see what we can achieve together. So thank you for becoming a part of Startup University, and I can't wait to help you grow to those 7 and 8 figure and potentially 9 figure revenue levels and targets that I'm sure you have.